In this video, we're going to focus on how we can mirror the scales from the X scale, as you can see here, from the bottom, put it up, but also mirror the Y scale here to the right side. So you have the left and right being mirrored nicely and the top and bottom as well. So let's start to look how to do this. So let's start to look how to mirror the X and Y scale to the top and the right in Chart.js. So the first thing what we need is we need to get our boiler template, which you can find in chartjs3.com. Getting started, this specific link here, which is as well in your description box or in the description box of the video. So once we're going to go here, scroll and copy that chunk of code here. Copy this. If you want to understand what this code does, make sure to watch this video that explains it all. So I'm going to paste that in there, and once I did that, I'm going to cut out this title and make sure that the title is in here. And I will make sure that my chart has a huge size so it's easy to spot. So make it 80%. There we are. So now we have this here. And what I want to do is I want to have the X and Y scales here being mirrored nicely. So let's do the X scale first. So I'm going to scroll down here to the scales. I'm going to say the X scale. And what we need to do here is we're going to pinpoint the X scale. And we're going to say position. And I'm going to fix it on the bottom. The reason why we do this is because we want to make sure that the first X scale will be on the bottom, which is by default already the case, as you can see here. So the next thing what I want to do is I want to duplicate this. I'm going to say X number 2, but this one will be focused on the top. Save, refresh, and as you can see here, now both are being mirrored nicely. What I do want to notice here, or what I do notice here, is you can see here, this line here is slightly darker. The reason why this happens is because basically this scale here at the top is drawing its own grid line as well. So I want to remove that grid line drawing. So I'm going to comma here, say your grid display, and then here equals false. Save that, refresh, and you can see here now the grid line becomes back to its original color. So now we have this. What I want to do is I want this one move in here. So to do that, what are we going to do here? Well, basically I'm going to say here comma, I'm going to say Y number 2 for the second Y scale. And the first thing what I want to make sure is it starts at 0. It has to start at 0. If I save this now, refresh, you can see here what is happening. It starts at 0, but of course it's not positioned at the right side. It's on the left side. So I'm going to say comma, and I'm going to say position, and this will be on the right side, which is a string value. Save, refresh. Alright, so now we have that. So the next thing what I want to do here is comma, we're going to position a value. I'm going to hard code it for now, and later on I'm going to do soft code. We know that the maximum value is 18, so you can see here this shows nicely. Alright, so let's start to soft code this, but later on we have to make sure that these two are matched well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say a CTX. We basically make a callback functionality, and put an arrow function here, or arrow expression function. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to just grab the CTX and just look what does the CTX does. Basically, what I need is two things. First of all, I need to get the array values of this. And secondly, once I have them, I want to make sure I get the highest value, which is whatever would be in here, in this case 18. So let's go to save that. Refresh. Right now it just gives a weird number here, or 0 to 1. This is because we don't return a value. So don't worry about that, but let's open up the object here. You can see here we get all of these items here, and then we get here the chart. And then within the chart, we can go into the data, and from the data, we can go to data sets, and then from the data sets, we can go into our data array. That's the one we need. So how do we do that? You could see here, if I hover over here very carefully, well, on this point, you can see the entire namespace, which is scale, dot, chart, etc, etc. In this case, you can skip the scale and we go directly to chart. So we're going to here, we say chart dot data, and if I save this and then just test it, you can see here we're already getting ahead or getting closer to that specific area. So then I want to go into the data set object index 0 dot data sets index 0. There's a dot data. If I save this, refresh, you can see here now we get the full value of our item, which is exactly what we want. So now we have basically the array. So what I'm going to do now is use a simple math function. So I say math dot max. And what this does is basically grabs the full value of this and search if we have an array, extract the maximum value. If you do this, you will see you get an error which is called a not a number value, which is correct because this is an array. So what we need to say to the math.max value, we say here, we put in here a rest operator, which basically is an ellipsis, and which is triple dot. But basically it will create a new array, and then the max operator or the math.max method will understand this. So if we do this, you can see here now, it grabs 18. Beautiful. So now what I want to do is just want to return that value. And we can say here, we can just copy this entire item. Then we can close that, save, refresh. Alright, so now you can see that, but if you look very carefully as well, grid lines are darker at the on the horizontal level, which is of course this part. So what I want to do here, well, let's just do it here. I'm going to say grid, display, false, and then comma here, save, refresh. Alright, so now this works. So then let's test something. If, for example, if I want to make this one here, let's say this will be now 24, save, refresh. So if you look very carefully, it looks like it's working, but it's not. The step size here are this, and the step size here are slightly different. The reason for this is because we have a max of 24. So what we can do is we can just copy this, and just make sure we have that equally here. Save, refresh, and there we are. So you can see here now we have the max size of the item, and that is basically how you can do this. So if you like this video and maybe you want to control the step size in a more better appropriate way, in that case I'm going to recommend you this video here on how to control the step size on the Y scale in Chart.js. So there you will be able to make this more equal and more appropriate.